Welcome back to Learn with Chris. I'm Chris. This is going to be the first video of a new series I am doing called A Word a Day, where I will pick one word and I will talk about how to pronounce it, where does the word come from, the meaning of it, current definition, other forms of the word, like when you add suffixes to it, some example sentences using that word, if there are any common collocations or phrasal verbs also using that word, if there are any idioms using that word, and then some antonyms, which are opposite ideas, or synonyms, which are similar words. So going pretty deep on one word and a word a day. So building vocabulary. So the word for today is sacrifice. So I'm going to put up the IPA pronunciation for sacrifice, as well as a phonetic respelling, sacrifice, just so that you know how to pronounce it correctly. The word sacrifice is a Latin word. It comes from the word sacrificium, which comes from two words, sacer, which means sacred, and facere, I think, which means make. So the original word sacrifice means to make something sacred, to give to a god, to a deity. So we, of course, all through human history, people in their worshiping of gods, they would sacrifice to those gods, maybe sacrifice money or food or an animal, and in some cases, humans. Human sacrifice has been practiced in the past in certain cultures, animal sacrifice as well. Although the current definition, it still includes giving to the gods, but it has a more general, everyday meaning. And the common definition, or the current definition of sacrifice, is to basically give something up in, you're gonna sacrifice something like your time or your money because you value something higher than that. So, for example, right now you're watching this video. You're watching this video to learn more English, to improve your vocabulary. You are sacrificing your time to learn something, to gain a higher value. It's giving something up to get something else. So when we learn, we're sacrificing. When we go to work, we are sacrificing. We're spending our time and our energy to get money at the end of the month that we need, of course, for our lives. So sacrifice, these are just common examples of sacrifice. So everybody sacrifices all the time. It's to delay what you want now for the future. Right? So you're giving up something now because of a future benefit. That's to sacrifice. So some other forms of the word sacrifice is sacrificial, which is an adjective. So you can have sacrificial offerings, for example. And then sacrificer, that's a person who sacrifices. So we have sacrificial and we have sacrificer. So those, the person who sacrifices, and as well sacrifice as a adjective. So let's look at some example sentences. It's always useful to get a full sentence with context to understand the word a bit better. Example: the soldier made a sacrifice by giving his life to save others. So this is what soldiers do. Well, not all the time, but they are called to do this. They will sacrifice their own lives to protect their country or to protect their fellow soldiers. So that's like we call that the ultimate sacrifice. When you offer up your own life, remember, sacrifice is always giving something up for another benefit. So you give up your own life to benefit other people, and that is the ultimate sacrifice. Another example: many parents sacrifice their own desires to provide a better future for their children. Again, very common sacrifice. We see this all the time. Parents, mother and father, are going to work very hard to provide money for their children, for a good education, for the future of their children. This is a core concept and a core action of any parent and any mother, any father. They would sacrifice pretty much anything for their children. Another example, the ritual involved a sacrificial offering of fruits and grains. So this is using sacrifice as an adjective, sacrificial. So it's the giving the fruits and the grains to a god. And last example, he is known as a sacrificer for his contributions to the community. So this person sacrifices a lot of his time or money to contribute to the community. So this is sacrifice as a person who sacrifices. Some collocations and phrasal verbs related to sacrifice. You can make a sacrifice. You can have a personal sacrifice. You can sacrifice something for something. So for example, you can sacrifice your time for money, right? Something for something. And you can also sacrifice yourself. So sacrifice oneself for something. So again, the soldier sacrificed himself for his country, as an example. An idiom for sacrifice is this: sacrifice at the altar of something. And this is when you give up something of great value for the sake of you have a higher value. So an example of this sacrificing at the altar of would be many ambitious professionals sacrifice their personal lives on the altar of career success, often missing out on family events and personal relaxation to climb the corporate ladder. So the professional person will sacrifice their life on the altar of career success. So because they want career success so much, they actually sacrifice all of their family time, right? They work 60 hours a week, 70 hours a week. They have no time for family. They never see their kids. They never see their wife. They just work all the time. So they're sacrificing their personal lives on the altar of career success. So that's as an idiom. And we're going to finish off with a couple of antonyms. Antonyms are words that have an opposite meaning. So indulgence and selfishness. This is when you just care about yourself, right? So if you care about yourself, you're not going to be sacrificing because you're not going to be sacrificing for other people. You're not going to sacrifice for your community or for your family because you're selfish. You care for yourself, care about yourself much more than other people. Sacrifice is selfless. You are sacrificing for other people generally. And so some synonyms of sacrifice, that means words that have a similar meaning, not exactly the same, but similar meaning, is forfeit, give up, renunciation, and surrender. So when you do these things, you are effectively sacrificing. You give up your time, you can surrender your life, you can surrender your freedom, or forfeit your freedom as ways of sacrificing for others. Okay, so that's our word for today, sacrifice. Please, in the comments, if you would maybe want to practice this, maybe give an example of what you sacrifice. So thank you for your time. I'll see you in the next word a day. Have a good day. Take care. Bye-bye.